Welcome to Business Over Brew, the show where we talk business with some of the Riverbend's most interesting and influential business leaders, all while enjoying a nice brew, this time from inside the Miller King Law Firm in Alton. In this episode, we'll talk to Jeff Lauritzen with Country Financial in Godfrey. He'll tell us how his years in the banking business prepared him for running his own business and give some great advice for those thinking about starting a business themselves. So let's get to it. It's the Business Over a Brew podcast, sponsored by Roberts Motors. Before we get to this week's episode of Business Over a Brew, I want to talk a little bit about our sponsors of the program, Roberts Motors. It's been a difficult time for all of us, and especially for local businesses. You may not be thinking about buying a car right now. You might not be in a position to buy a car. Roberts Motors certainly understands that. But if you are, it is a great time to buy. They've got 0% financing for up to 84 months on 2019 vehicles, certain 2019 vehicles. No payments for 90 days, and they're just a great local business. They really believe in relationships. You want to buy a car from somebody that you trust, you can certainly trust Roberts Motors. They've done so much for our community in the Riverbend here since 1949. John Roberts, Sam Roberts, great family, great business to do business with. Maybe you're not looking for purchasing a vehicle, but you need service. Their service department is up and running. They are fully operational from a service standpoint. So check out robertsmotors.com for more information. And if you're looking for a vehicle, give them a call, 466-7220. Welcome to Business Over a Brew. We've taken a little bit of a hiatus, but we are back. I guess we'll call this maybe season 5 or something like that. We lose track. But somebody we've been wanting to have on the program for a while, and it just hasn't worked out for scheduling reasons, is Jeff Lauritzen with Country Financial. But we finally tracked him down, and Jeff's our guest today. Jeff, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So last time we had this scheduled, and I think you ended up being in Spain for a little while with your daughter, right?
Yes. Yeah, we got back right before everything kind of blew up and hit, but we had a great time and did some traveling and got to see some neat sights.
It's just crazy, isn't it, how much our world has changed over the last, from January 1, nobody was thinking. I mean, we had heard of it,
right?
But not to the point where now it just takes over every conversation in our lives pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's getting old.
It really, that's well put, Jeff. Well put. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up, and just kind of the story of Jeff.
The story of Jeff. Grew up in the northwestern corner of the state of Illinois, a little town called Lanark, a small rural community. Grew up there. Graduated high school from Eastland High School. From there, went to Illinois State University. Got a degree in ag business. From there, I met my wife, and we got married down the road, got 2 kids, 2 girls, Caroline and Christine. One's a senior at Indiana University, and the other will be a senior at Marquette this fall.
So you just kind of kept working yourself south in the state, huh?
Get a little bit warmer.
Right, yeah, just a little bit, though. So, how'd you get started with, first of all, in the insurance industry, and did you start with country first?
I did.
Right out of the gate?
When I joined the insurance industry, I started with country, but kind of my background, after I graduated college, I did an ag internship with Zeneca, and I worked with fertilizer dealers and farmers and such, and did that for about 6 months. But while I was in college, I did an internship with Growmark, and kind of got more into the banking side of things from there. So ended up in banking, and so I was in banking for 16 and a half years. So I was a commercial lender most of that time. Enjoyed it very much, enjoyed the relationships with my clients and getting to meet new people and help them out. But unfortunately, back in 2008, when the financial crisis kind of hit, banking wasn't as much fun as it used to be, and I was 39, and I was looking at my future, and I needed a change. And I'd always talked about insurance, and I talked about it enough. My wife said, "Would you just do it?" So made a change. I chose country because I was familiar with them. I was insured with them. Got an uncle that had he retired from country, so that was just my familiarity with it, and ended up with a great company.
Grew up, you said, in an ag community. Were your family farmers, or?
No, we did not farm. My dad worked for FBFM, so he did record books for farmers, and then my mom worked for the Farm Service Agency, and so just been around it all my life.
Interesting. You've still, I mean, country has certainly that connection with farmers too, and the Farm Bureau. So that's kind of remained a constant, I guess, throughout a little bit. So probably worked with a lot of ag during your banking days too, I would imagine.
Definitely.
So why insurance? Why was that something that was appealing to you?
Well, a couple things. Like I said before, I enjoy working with my clients and building those relationships, getting to know them and help them out. The other is owning your own business. One of my mentors in my early banking days, I remember him one time. He looked at me and he says, "I could see you owning a business one day." And I looked at him and I thought he was crazy, but it always stuck in the back of my mind. And as you're turning 40 and you're looking down the road, and I was at a point where I either had to like what I was doing or do something different. So I made a change, and that was always in the back of my mind. And I
always thought in my life that I would be either a business owner or running a business, and I thought, boy, am I prepared for this, and I'm ready to go. But when I got the job as general manager of the radio station, I really quickly found out how little I knew. Is it a similar experience for you, or is it pretty much what you expected?
A little of both. I was, being in banking and a commercial lender, talking with businesses, that helped out a lot, just having an understanding of the finance side of things. But it was definitely scary.
Right. By the way, this is the first stand-up version of Business Over Brew we've ever done, so hopefully we can make it to the 15-minute mark. We chose somebody who's in pretty good shape in Jeff Lauritzen, so I think he'll be okay. Do you remember what your first job was growing up?
Well, I would probably say mowing. Mowed neighbor lady. We lived out in the country next to a church and cemetery, and I had that job, so I did that. But being in the country, baled hay and different farms and stuff like that.
What was the first? So mowing grass and things like that. Do you remember who your first employer was?
My first employer, when I was 16, in town, there was a local TV and appliance store, and I got a job there. So I delivered TVs. Back when you would go to a store just for TVs and somebody would take it to your house, or deliver washers and dryers. But that was my first, I guess, real job.
I always thought in my life it's been interesting, felt like every job that I've ever had somewhat prepared me for the job that I have now. You look back at certain jobs of yours and think, obviously the banking tie-in, but are there certain things that you remember learning from others about running a business that you've carried with you to this day?
Well, one of my summer jobs, I worked for some guys in construction, and he would give me a task, and I would do it, and I would wait for him to tell me what to do again. And he finally pulled me aside and said, "Okay, I need to tell you something here. Always be thinking ahead. What's next?" He says, "Whether you're working for me or you're doing something else down the road, always what's that next step?" And I do recall that conversation.
That's great advice, and that kind of segues into, I know one of the things that's been near and dear to your heart is working with young potential entrepreneurs through the Growth Association. Talk a little bit about that program and what that's meant for you.
The Young Adults Committee, is
yes,
that what you're referring
right.
to? So yeah, we just actually wrapped up the year-end meeting with that today, but it's a neat program that exposes our young students to what our Riverbend has to offer. They've got the opportunity. We meet once a month. We've increased it, so there's 4 students from the 5 local schools, 2 juniors and 2 seniors is what it'll be this fall. And they do a fundraiser, and with that money, half of it goes to a scholarship, the other half goes to a nonprofit that they work with. So at the beginning of the year, the nonprofits come in and pitch to the students, and they choose 5 of them. And then each month throughout the school year, they do an experience with them. And it really opens their eyes to what's out there. Riverbend Family Ministries was the one that won this year. And Tammy,
I happen to be president of their board. So
Tammy's great.
Right, yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm president of their board.
There you go. So, but it really opens the eyes to these kids that wouldn't, have been exposed to them.
Right. It's interesting. I've been in Rotary and associated with various clubs like that. And one of the concerns, I think, is that, where is that spirit of volunteerism in our communities? And I think we worry about that with the young people, maybe somewhat. But I tell you, I've had a chance to speak to some of these kids, and they're unbelievable, though. I mean, they've really opened my eyes to.
There's some neat kids that I think it's calculated. I think 5 years I've been involved with it. Just some of the kids, as you get to know them and they move on, and you kind of follow them a little bit, and it's really neat.
I always wonder, is it kids that are different, or is it just that we're looking back now, and we were the same way as kids, not maybe as concerned about what was going on in our community, but then you grow up and start a family of your own and start a career, and I think that changes your outlook a little bit once you get to that level. So I don't know that it's necessarily a problem with our young people as much as we're just maybe impatient with letting them grow into the roles that we've kind of taken on.
Sure.
So. I know being involved in the community is important. You talk a little bit about what you guys do in the office there from a community involvement standpoint.
For myself, I don't know. I seem to say yes a lot. I find myself involved with quite a few different, organizations.
That's a good quality, Jeff.
But it definitely keeps me busy, and I scratch my head sometimes try to figure out when I'm supposed to be working. But just try to give back and get to know people and just be involved.
I don't know the answer to this question, but you strike me as a real routine guy. Is that accurate to say? Like, same routine every day?
Yeah, pretty much. When COVID hit, I tried working from home for a little bit, and I survived about a week. But each day I still did go into the office, and after I stopped and thought about it, and I said, well, there's really nobody else in the office. I'm going to go back to the office.
So what's a typical morning routine look like for you?
Get up, I try to go for a walk in the morning, and then just get ready and then go into the office and log on the computer.
Early riser?
I try to be up by 6.
Okay, that's early. I think that qualifies. So what are some other words of advice that you would pass on to maybe young people thinking about starting a business right now?
If you're, from starting a business, have a plan, know your numbers, and focus. You got to show up every day.
That really is a large portion of the battle that people don't think about, is just showing up and being present. And you talk about the numbers. Are you a numbers guy? I'm going to say yes, but
for the most part, yeah. I'm a numbers guy, but I enjoy the relationships and the people a lot too. And
I know you guys have a really great team at your office. Talk a little bit about how you went about recruiting that team and assembling that team.
The team that we've got now, the two gals that we got, well, one came from banking, and she had a great foundation. Well, actually, I take that back. Both of them have come from banking, and that's kind of where we've recruited the last few, just because they understand the professionalism, the privacy, etc. So we don't have to really instill all that.
Right. I know you get to do this on a pretty regular basis, but what advice would you give to young people, either maybe a recent high school grad or a recent college grad?
I would say to always keep learning, and it's a big world out there, and don't be afraid to go explore it.
Well, Jeff, we appreciate you joining us on Business Over a Brew, and thanks for the visit. And if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
They can give me a call at the office at 466-2128, or shoot me an email at jeff.lauritzen@countryfinancial.com.
Anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I don't know if we should touch glasses or not.
Yeah.
So.
Big Z General Manager Nick Darr here. Very special edition of Business Over a Brew. We're pleased to be filming this one from the Miller King Law Firm. What a cool spot this is. You're going to see some great shots. Will Miller and Patrick King have done just a great job of renovating this classic building. It is absolutely beautiful. If you ever get a chance to get down here, I certainly highly recommend it. Great partners of ours, the Miller King Law Firm. We partner on the Big Z Miller King Hometown Hero Award, and just a great firm doing a lot for the community, and we certainly appreciate them letting us host Business Over a Brew here at this tremendous location here on State Street in Alton. Great spot for Business Over a Brew. I do want to say a quick word about where we normally host the show, the Great Rivers Tap and Grill at the Best Western Hotel in Alton. Great spot to be. They are still offering carryout. If you want to get a carryout pizza, I grabbed a couple pizzas on the way here from the Best Western Tap and Grill, or Great Rivers Tap and Grill rather. Great pizza, great food. 462-1220. If you'd like to place a carryout order, you actually get a free roll of toilet paper with every order from the Great Rivers Tap and Grill when you call in and do a carryout order. So thanks to them for usually being the host of Business Over a Brew, and a big thanks to Miller King Law Firm for hosting these 3 episodes of Business Over a Brew. Enjoy.